Him still leading the GOP field, and we met in his offices high above Central Park Friday afternoon, just hours after a clearly angry President Obama promised to politicize the issue of gun violence.
Somehow this has become routine. The reporting is routine. My response here at this podium ends up being routine. The conversation in the aftermath of it, we've become numb to this.
Well, he's a great divider, and you know, you have a big issue between the Second Amendment folks and the non-Second Amendment folks, and he is a non-Second Amendment person.
You think he was being a divider?
I think he was. I think he was actually being a divider because, you know, George, no matter how you cut it, you have people that are mentally ill and they have problems and they're going to slip through the cracks, and no matter how you do it, no matter how you try it, and if you go back 2,000 years and if you go forward 2 million years, you're going to have problems, and it may not even be politically correct to say.
Every country has mentally ill people. Not every country has mass shootings as frequently as we do.
But what's interesting is the places, you look at Chicago, it's got the toughest gun laws in the United States. You look at other places where they have gun laws that are very tough. They do, generally speaking, worse than anybody else. I mean, if you look at some of these places, Chicago is a good example, but go to Baltimore, go to various cities where they have very, very tough gun laws. They do terribly.
So what would you do about it? You sound pretty passive.
No, I'm not passive at all. I can tell you that people say, oh, we're going to stop it. It doesn't work that way. This has taken place, whether it's this type of crime or other crimes, taken place forever, from the beginning. And it's going, you go out 1 million years from now, you're going to have problems. And even if you have a very tough system, you're going to have people that slip through the cracks. And it's a very sad situation, and you have to, great vigilance. I mean, you have to show great vigilance and watch and be careful and security and everything else. But no matter what you do, you will have problems, and that's the way the world goes.
That's your answer? We're going to have problems?
Yes, you're going to, it's in it. Now, George, I could say, oh, we're going to do this and that, and it's never going to happen again. You have sick people in this country and throughout the world, and you're always going to have difficulty. That's why you have newscasts.
But you're Mr. Fix-It. You're Mr. Can-Do.
I know that, and I think I'll do a fabulous job, and I will make things a lot better. No matter what you do, you're going to have difficulties. People are going to slip through the cracks.
So no new laws, no new gun laws?
Well, the gun laws have nothing to do with this. This isn't guns. This is about really mental illness, and I feel very strongly about it. And again, politically correct, oh, we're going to solve the problem, there'll be no problem, et cetera, et cetera. You're always going to have difficulties, no matter how tight you run it. Even if you had great education having to do with mental illness, you educate the community, it's still, you're going to have people that slip through the cracks. And these people are more than slipping through the cracks. These people want to slip through the cracks. So you're going to have problems. It's unfortunate.
Let's talk about your tax plan.
Yes.
Everyone gets a tax cut.
Right.
More and more Americans will pay nothing at all. But the Conservative Tax Foundation says it will increase the deficit by about $10 trillion over 10 years.
What do they know, George? What do they know? I mean, they've been doing this stuff for years. Can I tell you what? They've been doing this stuff for years. They're so off. You look at their past projections. They are so far off. People, this is a very dynamic plan.
So not going to increase the deficit?
People are going, well, if it works the way I want it to work, it's not, because we're going to bring back jobs. I am going to bring back so many jobs. One of the things that we're coming out with in the next 3 or 4 weeks is cutting. And the cutting is a big part of my plan.
So you're going to come up with cuts that will close that hole?
We're going to come up with very substantial cuts. And Department of Education, we're going to do cutting. And the economy is going to grow exponentially.
You also said that this tax plan is going to cost you a fortune.
It'll cost me a lot of money.
How do you get there?
Well, I'll tell you what, I have carried interest like a lot of other people do. And carried interest is a wonderful thing, but it's unfair, and rich people are getting...
That's $20 billion over 10 years for everyone who has it.
It's psychologically so important. If the economy grows, we all make it up. And frankly, the job producers make it up. The economy has to grow.
Let's dig into this.
And by the way, we have to bring back jobs, also part of my plan.
According to your financial disclosure, you made what, about $250 million in the last year?
605 million.
Okay, 605. The top rate goes from 40% to about 25%.
Right.
Capital gains comes down from 23 to 20.
Right.
That's a huge, that's tens of millions of savings.
Everybody's going to save, according to my plan. And that money, you know where that money's going?
You're not going to be,
George,
paying
that
more
money's
taxes,
going back into other things.
But you're going to get a tax cut.
I don't know, because I have very big deductions that are, frankly, some of them are ridiculous. You're entitled to deductions. So I don't know that I am. I think that probably I'll end up paying more under this. To be honest, I don't think I'm going to. If you look at all of the kinds of deductions that people are allowed to take that you're not going to be taking anymore, including carried interest, that's just one of them, I think I probably don't do as well.
But where your family would make potentially hundreds of millions of dollars eliminating the estate tax.
Well, the estate tax is a different thing. The estate tax is a very, very horrible weapon that has destroyed many families, in particular farms and things where they make an income and they have a certain value and they have to go out and borrow money, and then they put mortgages on their farms. And
it's 20 farms in the last year.
Big businesses. George, if you have a business, and let's say it's a business that's not very liquid, and people have to go out and borrow against the business, you are having travesty. And the other thing is, it's a double taxation. The tax has already been paid. I mean, you've been hearing this argument for many years.
Your family would benefit, but you're saying it's just wrong.
No, I say it's a double taxation. The death tax is an unfair tax because the tax has already been paid.
Bottom line, you do accept that you are going to make out well under your tax plan.
I don't know. I mean, if the economy is good, if the economy is great, everybody makes out well.
Getting any closer to releasing your tax returns?
Well, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about maybe when we find out the true story on Hillary's emails. You know, I've been saying that for a while. Let's find out the true story.
But
you know what? And I'm very honest on my tax returns.
What is your tax rate?
I'm not going to say it, but at some point I'll release it. But I pay as little as possible. I'm very proud to tell you. And I will say this. If this country were properly run, where the money wasn't in shambles, where the deals that they make aren't the Iran deal, where we're giving Iran $150 billion and the deal is a disaster in every single possible way, where everything we do is bad, including Obamacare, which is, by the way, the premiums are up 55% for some people. If our country was properly run, I'd almost feel much better about it, and so would a lot of other people.
Let's talk about
but I just want to say, I fight like hell to pay as little as possible. I used to watch Romney, who, by the way, really let us down because he failed to win an election that he should have won easily. But I used to watch him try and get his number as high as possible. It's not the way it works. I mean, I fight because that's a very big expense. And one of the problems and one of the reasons I fight so hard is because I hate the way our country is spending my money and everybody else's money.
Let's talk about foreign policy. We've seen Russia go heavy into Syria this week, at least 2 days of airstrikes. Yesterday, Hillary Clinton, today, John Kasich, both say we should establish a no-fly zone in Syria. Would you do that?
I don't think so. I think what I want to do is I want to sit back, and this does not sound like me very much, but I want to sit back and I want to see what happens. You know, Russia got bogged down when it was the Soviet Union in Afghanistan. They thought that would be quick and easy, and they'll go in, they'll clean it up.
You think he's falling into a trap?
Well, I think it's not going to be great for them, if you want to know the truth. But let's just look. They got bogged down. It destroyed the Soviet Union. I mean, they essentially went bankrupt. It destroyed the Soviet Union. Afghanistan. Now they're going into Syria. There are so many traps. There's so many problems. When I heard they were going in to fight ISIS, I said, great.
But they're not bombing ISIS.
Well, not yet. But they don't want ISIS going into Russia either. So they're not bombing them yet. And the other thing I look at is Assad. Assad's a bad guy, but they're all bad guys. We're supporting rebels. You know, they talk about the Syria Free Rebels. We're supporting rebels. We don't even know who they are.
Better the devil you know?
Well, I spoke to a general who's very, much on. He said, Mr. Trump, we have no idea who these people are. They may be worse than Assad. So we're going to spend all of this effort, all of this, we probably have to go against Iran now. I mean, and we're making Iran rich and powerful. You notice Iran now is coming in with the ground troops. They have $150 billion. All of a sudden, they're rich. The sanctions are gone. Everything's gone. What we've done with Iran is one of the most incompetent things I've ever seen. So now we have this, and we're going to fight for people that we don't even know who they are. Now, if you look at Libya, you look at Gaddafi, you look at what's gone there, you look at Iraq with Saddam Hussein, I mean, do you think we're better off now? Because I personally don't.
We still do have this huge refugee situation. And a few weeks back, you said we'd have to take some in on humanitarian grounds. But just this week, you seemed to reverse it. You said you're putting people on notice. I want to quote you here. If I win, they're going back. So
well,
what changed?
ABC was at my speech the other night in New Hampshire. Totally packed house, 4,000 people. It was a beautiful thing to see. And I gave a very, detailed explanation. And I'm going to give it to you right now. When I heard that, I saw the migration. And the migration was strange to me because it seems like so many men. There aren't that many women. There aren't that many children. It looked like mostly men, and they look like strong men. These look like physically strong people. And I'm saying, where are all the women? Where are all the children? Okay, and a lot of people, by the way, excuse me, a lot of people have said the same thing. But when I heard we were going to take in 3,000, which was the first number, as you know, then I heard we were going to take in 10,000, I sort of said, well, okay. Now I hear we want to take in 200,000. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know who they are. They could be ISIS. It could be the great Trojan horse. I mean, this could be one of the great Trojan horses ever since the original. We don't know where these people, they have no documentation. They have no paperwork. There's no way they can prove where they're coming from. And I'm saying we're going to take in 200,000 people that we have no idea where they come from. And I said, I would absolutely not do it. I have a bigger heart than you do, okay? Believe me, I have a very big heart. And I understand the whole thing with migration. It's a horrible thing. Should have never happened in the first place. We screwed up. This country screwed up the Middle East so badly with breaking up Iraq. We have so destabilized the Middle East. It is a mess. So I said, there's no way they come in. If they do come in, if I win for president, they're going out. And I tell them up front, if I win, now, I may not win, I may not even get the nomination, even though even you will admit I'm leading big league in every poll, but I may not. I mean, a lot of things happen. If I win, they're going back. We are not going to take responsibility. Now, are they ISIS? Probably not, but nobody knows. And many of them, look, they shouldn't take them in. Europe should take some problems. You have the Gulf states. You have Saudi Arabia, you have Bahrain, you have Qatar, you have some of the richest countries. They're not taking any, and they're right there. So we're supposed to take 200,000 people that we have no idea who they are?
Just two final questions. Your wife, Melania. A lot of the country saw her for the first time this week, People magazine.
Yes.
Talk about what kind of a first lady she would be. We've seen a lot of different models. Michelle Obama, Laura Bush, Hillary Clinton, all had their own styles. Where does she fit?
So Melania is a very beautiful woman, both inside and out. She has got a tremendous heart. She feels so strongly about the women's health issues. In fact, she knows how strongly I feel about that, and she's always pushing me on women's health issues. When Jeb Bush said he's not going to fund women's health issues, that was a terrible, she couldn't believe it. And she told me about it when I got home. He then said he misspoke and he made a mistake and he's going to. But she couldn't believe it. She would be so great on that. And so would Ivanka Trump. She feels the same way. And they both want me. They said, Dad, you have such respect for women. And they say, you cherish women. You have such respect for women. You got to speak more about it, because there's nobody that cares more for women than you. My mother was one of the great people ever in my life that I've ever met. And I have just amazing admiration and respect for women. I think Melania would be unbelievable for women and for the country.
Finally, you talked about the polls, a lot of good polls. You're still in the lead. Ratings breaking records every time you go on television. And this led Dan Henninger, a Wall Street Journal columnist yesterday, who says you're a master of timing, cited Atlantic City, and says this is as good as it gets for you. Quote, Mr. Trump should retire to a skybox and enjoy what he has wrought.
Well, I've had a lot of fun doing this, and I guess it's more fun when you see the kind of polls that I'm getting, and I think they're now higher than ever. And a lot of that is dissent. I mean, people are very, very unhappy with what's happened with politicians, how badly they're running the country. They're all talk, no action. I've dealt with them all my life, believe me. You know that because you've covered me in my previous life. You've covered me for a long time. But I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, and I think we're having a very big impact. And one thing I'll say, a lot of people are watching that would not be watching. When you look at the debates, when you look at CNN with 23 or 24 million people, they may have had a couple of million or 4 million, maybe. You look at Fox with 24+ million people. So I think I'm doing a great service.
But you've also said you're not a masochist. So if the polls do start to turn around, do you get out before you get beat?
It's not a question of polls. If I felt that I was doing badly, if I felt that the polls were, and I think polls are reflective. I mean, right now I love polls because I'm winning everything. I'm even winning, we just got one from Florida. I'm killing the governor and the senator from Florida. I mean, it's been amazing. Texas winning everything, winning every state, winning every national poll, and big league. If that changed and that went in a different direction, and if I thought that I wasn't going to win, like there are numerous people running right now, they're not going to win, okay? I would certainly want to get out. I'm not a masochist. I'm not somebody that needs to do this for other reasons. If I thought I was doing poorly, I would think I would want to do that. Now, I will say, right now I'm loving it. I'm having a lot of fun. And you know, the most important thing, it's not a question of like, it's a question, I want to make America great again. We can make it great again, George. And I think we can actually make it better than ever before. I've never said that. But I think we can make it better than ever before. And that's what I'm most excited about. Not polls, I'm excited about the end game. The end game is making this country great again.
All right, thanks to Donald Trump. Much more ahead on This Week. Well,